Hello, and welcome to Stop Now, a social experiment enterprise where we stop, listen, and share. Welcome back, everyone. We are so excited to be back with our talk show this week. I am Nate. I am one of your hosts here at Stop Now, and we are excited to get into our conversation this week. We are fully into the summertime now, so I hope everybody's out there is having a safe summertime so far. But I can't talk about the summertime without talking about someone who is always cool, no matter what the weather is. He is the man behind the mask. He is the voice of the voiceless. He is the guy running things behind the scenes here at our talk show. Ladies and gentlemen, JK is with me again this week. JK, how are you?
I'm good, Nate. I'm melting so much of ice. That was
It is really hot.
Yes, it is really hot here. And also, I was going to say, like, oh no, again, the same face. Why do I get to have somebody else? Like, I was just joking. We were missing last week, and hopefully, the minute I say, like, Amar is here, okay, me and Amar were discussing about our experiment lab, where do we go? And also, we were planning to onboard pair you with some new co-host, and hopefully that will happen soon.
Yes.
So
JK,
what are we going to talk? Hi Amar, you're right on time.
Yes, Amar is here. Hey Amar, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
So
nice.
What do we have this week, Nate? Like, what do we plan to talk about it? Like, it's been quite a journey for us, and you know that, like, we are going to hit 2-year anniversary soon. And
yes,
you and me are the kind of backbone it has become. So people come in and go. Hopefully, we will create the impact that needs to be created. But in terms of the experiment lab, we are quite fascinated, as you know that, like, you met few of the other new people who are working on the background. They just gave an update that they did a quite amazing work with your interviews and with your profile. I would let Amar talk on that because he has some update, which is quite fascinating for the last 1 week or 2 weeks. Am I right, Amar? How many interviews?
Yeah, you're right, Jack. With the last week, we got 4 interview, but 1 maybe missed and 3 is in our hand. And maybe yesterday Swaroop faced 1 interview, and 24th July 1 and 25th July another 1 will be held. And probably we'll get a jobs within those 4 interviews. Yeah, that's it. Actually, we are handling, or we are working for a long, but for a few days, we are getting good response from the recruiter side, also the client side also. And finally, we got those interviews. Yeah, we believe we got a job very soon. And more than 300 emails we already have handled this month.
Nate, again, you are back in business and back in trouble.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
I was gonna say that's a lot of emails for somebody who just got fired a little while ago, JK.
Yeah, you are a hot topic. I mean, I don't know how to put it. Like, I myself, like, kind of checking with Amar if he needs any help. And I was surprised the volume of email and the offers and the job prospects coming through to you was quite amazing, because it looks like we just have to rethink what we are doing, right? Because there seems like no discrimination at all here when they try to hire people. They just want people. That's a surprising part. No matter what, whether you have a qualification, whether you are lying, or whether your resume is original or fake, doesn't matter. They need people. So that is one strange thing. And at the other end, again, this extreme of firing people without a cause or without giving them the opportunity to perform or do work, that's kind of surprising. And even as we discussed, right, Shiva's job offers was quite amazing, and he got 4-5, and he dropped off and he went back. So in spite of it, like our team was backing up and they were doing it, and Ram was fired from the Texas State Department project. And he got pissed off really, because he turned himself into Shiva and working whole night shift and handling the project for 3 months. And without giving any reason, they fired him, and they didn't even pay him so far. So we are just escalating it to the client. And also, I would like to play that videos if you guys like allow me to share that. That will be quite interesting talking point for us. I was trying to start from the interview phase, like who gave the interview and how did it started and all those things. And it's kind of a repeated offenders. So I don't want like to target a smaller companies and say like, oh, it's only the small businesses or startups or people who want to make a mark are doing these frauds. No, it is from the top companies. That's why like I want to pick big names, Nate. So we'll start with Google or Apple, right? Finally, let me play the video instead of sharing the screen.
Hey, Uma, hi.
Hi, I was talking. Sorry. So I was saying that I was stuck in a meeting. So
No worries, no worries.
are you able to hear me properly?
Yeah.
So hi, Mani, how are you doing?
All good, Uma. How are you?
So Mani, I'm sure you know about the profile and what we're looking for. So I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I am working currently with Google and as a technical program manager. And I have like 18 years of experience in the program management field. So what we are, what the team is looking for especially is somebody who's strong in the Scrum area, as well as overall communication and flexibility to be able to understand the assignments and work with the different teams.
Okay.
Could you introduce yourself and tell me a bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Manikandan Shivashankar. You can call me Mani. That's my short name. And I'm a certified Scrum Master, and I have more than 10 years of experience as a Scrum Master as well as a program manager. Dealing with teams, multiple teams, I would say, in Waterfall as well as Scrum project. And the main role, I would say, if I sum up all the experience, is that transforming the teams from agile, from Waterfall to agile was the more fun part. I would say that, in recent years, agile is very popular, right? So transitioning to that is it's a very good thing that I was involved in. And I'm currently working with Bank of America, and my project is related to data migration. And I'm an independent consultant who loves to travel and explore new challenges.
and I'm currently living in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, that's
And I have been associated with many companies like Bank of America, HP, and Western Union, and Nokia and Microsoft. So have a vast experience of program manager as well as Scrum Master, and the roles and responsibilities I would say is not limited to, but will be focusing on like maintaining the Scrum ceremonies on time, managing the team, ensuring the backlog and the delivery, the quality of the product, and any issues there are if we need to mitigate, and if there are any conflicts we need to resolve. So all the Scrum things that needs to be done has to be there. Apart from that, reporting to stakeholders, external stakeholders, conveying them the timeline, the tracking thing, and the reports we used to generate related to team's performance, related to releases on a project timeline. So things like that were also in my part.
that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So in terms of your experience, do you have experience in a hybrid situation where it's not completely waterfall, but it's not completely agile?
Yes, actually, in my current company as well, like Bank of America, they are not fully agile. I'm dealing with three teams in which one is falling on Kanban and other is of Scrum, and the other third one is totally waterfall. So it's fine. My motto is that the exact thing that stakeholders want, I need to track that and get that out. That is my motto whenever I look at the team. And it's if it's beneficial for the team, we can follow any framework, because the framework is just for the team to perform better, and it's manager's job to present it right, so that stakeholders can refer to like what they did was wrong, right, wrong.
That's true. And do you, I mean, in a situation where the teams are not interested in having a Scrum Master or any type of agile, how do you deal with that? Do
uh,
you have it?
yeah, I dealt with that a lot, because like I said, the waterfall is like a relaxing thing for team. So that they don't have to give status update each day, right? And Scrum, we have to do that every day. And my goal would be that to coach team members the importance of each framework, why there was waterfall working before and why we're moving it to Scrum. See, what happens is, usually what managers do is they just convey to team what they want. They don't convey to team why this is important for them, what is their benefit in them. If I don't prefer to go to Scrum calls and say, hey, this is your turn, please give your Scrum updates. It's not that. I prefer to go to Scrum call and explain to them, guys, this is the benefit out of it. And at the end of the call, I ask them, like, is it beneficial or not? If it's not beneficial, let's change the pattern a bit. So the ideology should be there. The Scrum ceremonies, they have a definite ideology. What should be the output of each thing? What should be the output of sprint planning? What should be the output of Scrum call? If that is not conveyed, then there is a conflict. If developers know that, hey, the Scrum call, daily Scrum call is not for the managers, it's for us to discuss our own dependencies, to discuss our own blockers, to tell a team and give them an overall picture where, from the whole sprint point of view, we are. If they understand that, then the conflict will be removed. Because many times it happens that people tend to make daily scrums a status update call, which it is not. And we need to coach team better, like why is it required?
So what kind of tools you have used managing those Scrum teams?
I have been using Microsoft Azure as well for project tracking, and currently using Jira for 5 to 6 years now. So it's bit of both for project tracking, and then other tools like Confluence and Jira Dashboard, and then Trello for other reporting purposes.
Okay. Yeah. So of course, having those tools experience is good, but Google has all their own internal tools, so it's
Yeah, I mean that that happens a lot. The bigger companies usually have their own separate tool because of the because that's more efficient, I would say. And I think I'll be able to catch up soon because the basics of all the tools are still same.
That's true. And how large a team have you had?
I have handled a team of 20 as well and more than 50 as well. So I have been also associated with the work where I act as an ART, um, um, and specifically the release train engineer part. So I need to, facilitate the PI planning and all. So I have managed quite a lot amount of team members, but still, I mean, from Scrum framework particular point of view, I have managed 2 to 3 teams very well.
And in terms of um, cross team functionality, etc., how do you manage that? What's your go-to strategy solution?
Cross team functionality is very important. Actually, we currently do exercise a practice of cross training through KT sessions. So that would include like whenever, for example, if we are releasing a feature, then uh, pick out certain team members from each team and have them there in a sprint review meeting. We're just talking about the particular team sprint review meeting, and have them ask questions like why is this, why we've developed this, and what are the pros and cons of this. And apart from this, we have internal KT sessions as well, which would include like we don't prefer. I mean, so there's the matrix is like this, that each QA team members or dev team member is a domain of their own field. So, for example, each of them will own their own integration, but that won't mean that they are not aware of the second integration completely. They should be aware of it partially, and that's where this coordination happens, that we encourage, and we I mean, I do facilitate myself and manage these meetings to have the KT session and knowledge transfer and shift them between the teams so that they can be aware of the project as from overall point of view, but in addition to that they should have a domain knowledge as well.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of the focus here is having domain knowledge, good, but the focus here would be somebody who's very proactive and flexible, and and they want the working conditions. Let me tell you, are extremely like they want a person to be available all through the day.
Mhm.
So, like just because it's a
Mhm.
so, so you will be anybody who joins will be required to be available, very proactive, and the things are like they they would require somebody who's very flexible as well.
Mhm.
So uh, having set ideas of how things need to be done, trying to force them into doing that will not work. So I'm just giving you extra information so that
Sure. So, Uma, do you mind if I ask the questions?
yeah, please go.
So, my first question would be like, what framework we are currently using, and what is the amount of team that we are looking at? Like you said, we can have a mix.
very hybrid, hybrid kind of a situation. So I mean, they still thinking for terms, but they try to manage everything. And, you know, they just
Okay.
try some stuff. So it's like it's a hybrid. for
Okay.
sure.
Understood. And when we talk about the team size, are we, I mean, are we responsible for more than one team, or like how many team members are we talking about here?
Yeah, it will be at least 2 to 3 teams, and they don't have any limitations of 10 to 12 teams or team members. It can be more than 10 or very small teams as well. So it totally depends on team by team basis.
Okay,
And
fine.
a lot of this,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
and lot of these teams are like centric. So basically, the product owner role is not as strong because so there will be many times that there is like in other companies you will have experience where the product owner takes on a lot of writing these things and run the backlog time. So things don't. It's
Okay.
very this product team needs a lot of time because whoever is Scrum Master will end up helping a lot.
Yeah, understood.
And it's not a traditional setup where one team has one product owner. In here, you can have up to 4 to 5 product teams.
Okay, okay. I mean, diversification is okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think we're good so far.
Sounds good. So yeah, Mania, I mean, I just wanted to just give these pointers and just have a word with them. And probably people will get in touch with the next steps.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Thank
And
you.
all the
So we just posted it, like this was the interview, and I was not sure like whether they are going to have an issue by posting these things, because these are like the ones that doesn't create an impact, because out of 100 interviews, who gets selected and who joins the project and who's working on the project matters. So that way, like I thought like, okay, fine, this is something I can play this out. And the Apple one was quite interesting. I will try to play that out maybe later time. So questions for you, like Nate, Amar, we discussed about again going back as a retro, what does an H1B, why we see that as a modern slavery, and how people are trapped, and you had some questions. So to have a follow-up on that, like, do you have any more questions on that? Or let's start with Nate and see like what he has to offer suggestions for us.
Yeah, I think when should we stop? Actually, we are doing this experiment from more than, I think, about 1 year, right? So when should we stop? Nate, could you please?
I think we talked about this a little bit a couple months ago, JK, with Shiva, in terms of when should we stop the experiment? When have we collected enough data? When have we collected enough information? When have we collected enough evidence to present? And I think we've got a lot of information over the past year. I can't believe it's been a year already that we've been doing the experiment. I would say I don't know, JK. Like, I think you could say that we've got a lot of information. We've got enough information to present what we found, but there's always more, you know, that we could learn through the process. There's always more that we could learn through going and talking with these companies. There's always more that we could learn from continuing the experiment. So I'm kind of torn on this, JK.
Yeah, absolutely, Nate, right? So where do we put an end, right? So it's like getting fired, right? I thought like Amar was quite excited and he wants to continue more, but he started asking like, when do we put an end to this nonsense? Let's stop this. Stop now.
Stop now. Yes.
Right.
So on air, so you are fired. Amar, you are fired. So you don't want to work anymore. So we are firing you.
No,
Welcome to the club, Amar. I was fired too.
No, I want to continue with this organization. I told you before that I always ready to work with you. So
Yes,
don't be
again,
worried. I am
they are all jokes apart, right? Amar,
Sure.
no offense, right? We are not firing anybody else, right? So this is more of a volunteering and just kind of a supportive thing that we are doing it. And the more we, again, undercover operations, spy agents, kind of people do it for years together, right? So they do it 5-10 years, right? So it's like these corporates are big to crack. We can't legally fight them. So that's why like we went ahead and did this experiment and wanted to expose this. But it might take longer because they are repeated offenders. They continue to do the same thing. You can see a pattern, and obviously all the companies like Infosys, we fought with them and wrote emails to the clients protesting for delaying the payment, holding the payment, and it's like keeping people as an hostage. Not just Infosys, Cognizant, TCS, HCL America. And you can see, right, you just keep getting offers again and again for the same profile, even for the Nate, right? I just showed, like I was able to pull up, as you were saying, Amar, right? So this was the week it looked like. Almost 4 interviews. I don't think like anyone will get in such a short time. This is happening because of the recruitment industries. And Nate, this is for the Verizon. For the Verizon mobile company, wireless, you are going to work for it. Like from Spectrum, you are going to Verizon. So that is one thing. Like this, actually, we got cleared with this interview. And I don't know how you cleared, Nate. And this is for Humana client, right? So I remember like when with Cole, he got an offer and even Shiva got an offer, same client, right? So they know that like this is happening, but they don't change. They choose not to change their attitude. This is how we will do our business. This is not acceptable. That's why like, I don't know, where do we put a stop to these things, right? Help me out. This was a video interview. I don't know. This was also clear, right, Amar? Which happened 2 days before.
Yeah, Humana was clear. Yes, right.
Yes. And again, one more round of 2 more interviews in the next week. I don't know whether it's a final or second round of interview. So as
another one has scheduled for my profile also for HCL America.
Yes. So the point where we are reaching, we get exhausted by doing this undercover operation. But this is how the world works, right? The business model itself is built like that. If you don't do it, somebody else is going to fill that position. They will continue to do this. So how do we stop? Where do we stop? I don't know. It might sound philosophical, right? For us, okay, I'm tired, I'm out. I don't want to play this game anymore. And when we decide, we can stop. That is the choice. I would say probably we can keep running this if we get new people to back it up, and just like a relay race, we can pass it on pass the baton to them and say like, oh, you guys go ahead and run. And that's what my
Sure.
plan was, because honestly, Nate knows very well. I never intend to do this, even the talk shows or anything that I've been doing for the last 2 years. But I got sucked into it, and somehow like I kept going. But then I don't know when there will be a breaking point for me, and there I will stop. But then this is something that we need to address, where we can create an impact and make that social change that needs to be happening in our society, in our communities. And the corporates have to come forward when they realize that, okay, this is what is happening in the back, and that is getting exposed, that is going to impact their brand or image, then they will change their course. Definitely, they will stop doing this. That is my understanding. And I don't believe in this, but still, I trust my instinct, and I'm going with the team's effort. Okay, let's do this. How far we can go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the recruiter or the client side, they are nowadays be willing to be serious for the candidate, because one of manager from a recruiter company, so they told me that nowadays so many people are doing or submitting false documents or resume. So we need to check their DL copy or visa copy. So please share your DL copy or visa copy so that I can verify you that you are the real person. Otherwise, we cannot submit your profile to our client. So they are, yeah, I think they are now in a place to be more serious.
Okay, the question here to you, Nate, right? So is that acceptable by the legal standard, right? My understanding is to stop these fraudulent activities, enforcing other illegal things like providing a ID or verifying your credential even before going through the interview. I don't think that's a fair way to make an assessment, right? Because I'm still struggling, right? They are depending on social media, right? I know Amar
Right.
knows that like very well. They are not just asking your ID, because you can create fake IDs
Yeah.
also and provide it. They are the fun part is like they are asking to verify with LinkedIn. So how is it
Yeah.
justifiable?
Unfortunately, there is no profile picture of Net's LinkedIn. Sometimes they told me if you cannot send your share your DL copy of visa code, please update your profile picture, real profile picture, so that we can take a screenshot and provide to our client so that he's the real person. He will face the interview, final interview.
And I think JK, you know, this is something that we've talked about a lot over the last year, is the numbers game, you know, with, especially when you're talking about the recruiters. And it's not so much about the quality as much as it is about the quantity, about how many people can I interview, how many calls can I make, how many emails can I send out to set up these interviews, so that way we keep feeding the machine for these bigger companies. And I don't know where the line is when we're talking about some of these things. I do think you're right. The only way you can make a change is a couple ways. Number one, financially. Like if they feel like their image is hurt or their brand is hurt or they're going to lose money, they will make changes. Or the government, you know, will have to step in. Like that's another way things can change. But we know the government is not quick to step in on these issues, JK. The other thing is, I think if people are loud enough, Amar, if people are loud enough that this is a problem and it has to change, then things can start to change. And I think that's part of what we're doing with the experiment. It's not only kind of exposing what's going on with these companies, but it's also bringing awareness, because I didn't know that this was going on before I started working with Stop Now. And I know a lot of people, especially in America, weren't aware that this was going on before, we started doing these talk shows and you started doing experiments, and we started talking to people like Harold and, and other people that have gone through this process. So it's one of those things, JK, like you said, we might have to pass the baton to somebody else here eventually, but it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight because the system is set up to prevent it from changing. That's why it's the system.
Absolutely, you're right, Nate, because it's been going on for 20, 25, 30 years, or I don't know how long.
Yep.
So it's hard for us like to crack it and make it stop within few days or months, right? So it needs a whole
Even
lot
a
of
year.
effort. Yes, it's like just like the number game. At least to attack them, we need a bigger team, and also do it in a bigger way, and also promote it and make it like, as you said, right? None of us were aware of these things happening before. It was a shock for us. It was a story. Okay, is this really happening? We want to test it out. That is why like we started this experiment, and we called it as a social experiment. We are trying to find, and everybody is involved in it, right? Shamelessly, everybody, like and the recruiters, everybody, for them it's just a job. Okay, I'm doing my job. What's wrong in it? I know. And as Amar said, right, they know that like that a fraud is happening, and still I'm not blaming like people who are supporting us for this cause and sitting in India, like they are happily doing this, right? So I'm ready to give fake interviews for anybody else. As long as I get paid, I'm fine with it. So that's their mentality. And also it goes from the top to bottom, right? At every level, it's corrupt. So that's where like I'm puzzled. I don't know what to do, right? It looks like I'm getting involved in this fully, and I also turning myself into this, becoming a monster kind of. That's a funny way to look at it. I don't know what more we can do on this, but as you said rightly, many people just pass by and say like, oh, what's the big deal in this? Yeah, we all know this. It's an open secret, right? It's not even a secret. It's happening. So what? If you want to do, go ahead, do it. And some of them, they hesitate like, what are you guys doing? Like, why should I get involved? Why should I experiment this? They don't even want to say no, or they don't have anything to comment. They just ignore. That is more painful, right? So how do you like just pass the buck like this and say like, okay, fine, just I don't care. That is the reason like I see like it continues to happen. And really, I think not to think about it right now. Maybe we can focus on some real stories, get some guests, and also make some interesting topics to discuss from our talk shows. That's all I had for from my side this week. And anything else, Nate, Amar, you want to add or comment? Let's wrap this up.
Amar?
Yeah, I think we need to continue the experiment because one day they all will be realized that they are in a false way to recruiting people from different countries. So one day they will realize that, I think. So we should continue it, and we should discuss about the topic always by doing this experiment to awareness the audience. So there will be benefit yet, I think.
Yeah. I would agree with that, Amar. And again, I thank you for joining us this week and the work that you're doing with the rest of the team with this experiment. I think for me, JK, my last thing that I would say is it's funny that, you brought up earlier that we're coming up on 2 years of doing this, and it doesn't feel like 2 years, but like when I first started, I was doing voiceovers, for spots, and then we started doing the podcast. Me and Melissa and yourself, and then we started doing the talk shows. And 2 years later, we're still here doing this and raising awareness and doing the experiments and talking to various people about a lot of these issues. So I'm excited to see where this goes, not only with the experiment but also with the talk show. Yes, even though you fired me, JK, I'm still here. You can't get rid of me 2 years later.
I think you have the last word, Aneet. I think you are the boss. How can I fire the boss? And we are going to put a new spotlight on Amar. Come to the light, Amar. Next week,
Yes.
you are getting a job offer as well on his original profile. I don't know how that is going to play out because he doesn't have a social security, and how we are going to clear his background. And he's going to work for a company, USA. That's a big brand and name. Good luck with that, Amar.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You are getting on to the hot seat. You're going to compete with Nate.
You're gonna get 300 emails a day.
All right. That was fun. Thank you, guys. And
Yes.
talk to you all next week. Bye for now.
Yes. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.